Mahojiano na mazungumzo kuntu.
Alright, mahojiano na mazungumzo kuntu. Prof, umesema umepata kaajali kidogo
huko kwa expressway, ndio sasa tukugojea alternative means. Ndio unajua hata expressway kuna Madhara Express.
Unasema kama ni express haina uhakikisho kwamba itakufikisha express.
Alright. So Prof, nafikiri tutaanza tuangalie hali ikoje katika taifa letu as we speak right now, Prof. Yes.
I think we are not on what you can call a comfortable corner, given that there are a lot of tensions.
Okay.
I think that the government has lost legitimacy among the people. And that is usually a very state of affairs. At the same time, you see the opposition is organizing itself, but the real problem is with the younger generation. So we are really witnessing a clash of generations between the old and the Gen Zs. Not just the Gen Zs, but also the millennials. I think the most affected, well, the Gen Zs are more vocal, but the most affected are the millennials, because they are the ones that are picking the bills for the housing, the housing levies and all those things. They are the ones who have just entered the labor market. They are the ones who, many of them, have degrees but are unemployed or underemployed by virtue of selling sukuma wiki instead of being in the hospital treating people. These are the people who are facing the rough edge of our nation. So we cannot say that our nation is really on a comfortable path. It's really on a rough patch.
But lakini we cannot blame the president for what is happening, right, Professor Kagwanja?
I mean, he carries the burden. You remember when we made the new constitution?
Yes.
What we wanted is accountability, and we wanted one center of gravity. That's why we fought against, a parallel system of prime minister and all that, so that we have a presidential system. Why? We hold only one person to account, and that person is a president. Otherwise, you'd ask the question, why did we have the same mess in the previous 20 years, and that we only 2 years into this era we have this problem? Obviously, the president himself took power in a very difficult situation. We had just come from COVID-19, one of the longest droughts, but there are no indication that he tried to buy the goodwill of the people by explaining to them exactly what he is doing, and what he is doing making sense to the citizens. I think much of what he's doing is not making sense. Take, for example, the housing. I was driving along Muranga way. I come from Muranga. And I was driving there. I'm seeing this isolated housing, high-rises that are going.
I mean, he just came out from, delivering the mukuru kwa Njega.
But the point is, how do they fit into our system? Because building house is one thing. How does it fit in terms of maintenance, water? We don't have a paper that comprehensively show that in the next
are supposed to pay for these services, Professor.
But now how do you pay for the services when the land was free? This is government land. We are building it using the government levy.
But you cannot just give you a house for free, Prof.
Sure, but that's what they're doing in Ethiopia. If this is the scheme, I think the problem is one, that we are mixing two systems. A capitalist system where you are supposed to marry your wife and build for her, and a socialist system where you wait for the government to feed you. And that's the problem you are finding in Tanzania.
All right.
That's in Ethiopia.
You call it an illusion, by the way. Whatever is happening in Tanzania.
It is we call it the delusion of grandeur. That they think
they are being deluded.
They are deluding themselves.
What do you mean by that?
They are stable, they are great, they are doing very well. They are an island of peace in the sea of turbulence.
But it is.
No. It is
according to you, Prof.
It's a worst dictatorship. I wrote about it, and I don't. I mean, I
saw the piece that you wrote.
I called it a tin pot dictatorship. Because Tanzania.
You didn't just call Mama Samia Suluhu a dictator. No, that's what you're trying to say.
Of course she is.
She's a dictator.
Not just her. Even her. She's a heir or heiress to a legacy of dictatorship. The worst Tanzanians have ever experienced of Magufuli. I am. Facts don't lie.
What facts?
Facts don't lie. I paraded them there. Look, Tanzania is where we were in 1992, 2002, that dark decade.
Okay. Is where Tanzania is right
yes, now. Where the old is dying and the new has refused to be born.
That's your problem, Prof.
Yes.
You are meddling into other people's business.
How? I mean,
and she said it.
I travel on an East African passport.
Yes.
Madam Musuruhu travel on an East African passport.
Okay.
You have the right to.
How am I interfering in my country?
That's what she's saying.
No, she's just narrow-minded. I must say that.
No, you didn't just call a president.
No, I'm not saying that.
Names.
Because if
you didn't just call a president narrow-minded.
Mother Karua is traveling on the same passport as Madam Suruhu.
All right.
What are we talking about?
Okay.
You get it?
Yes.
Now, you deny me entry and I have the same passport as you have. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Jumuiya of East Africa has agreed that we are one political unit. We receive citizens, tourists the same. So when I say you are feeble-minded, I'm not trying to say, it seems you don't understand the jurisprudence in which you're operating.
Okay.
Because, how did we reach the point that this passport of mine is reading East African?
Yeah.
And Shuruhu's is reading East African.
Okay.
And then you tell me I cannot go to Tanzania because nimetoka nchi jirani.
It's not like you're done with your issues here, Prof.
No, what do you mean by our issues here?
There are a lot of issues here.
But who is in jail? Natembea was given, at least, bond. So we could be now be in the streets.
All right.
Demanding his release. And in any case, people are in court to basically give him support, moral support. What's wrong in going to give to Lisu, support in Tanzania?
But you're not done with your issues here.
Remember, this is not.
You are fighting affordable housing. You have SHA. You have, a lot of issues.
Those are issues of development. Those are issues of development.
Okay.
We are not talking about human rights issues. We are not talking about violation of the basic rights.
Okay.
The liberties that we fought for against colonialism. Now, remember, we spent our youth ourselves fighting against apartheid. Was that not interference? We spent our time supporting Martin Luther King in America against civil rights abuses. Was that not interference in America's internal affairs?
But you know what that is doing, Rio, inamaanisha kwamba our relationship with our neighbors, of course we already have issues in terms of diplomacy as a country. Juzi tu tulikuwa na the rebel group from Sudan. They came here at KICC.
No, kwa hii in this one the government of Kenya and the government of Tanzania are singing from the same hymn sheet. In that on this one they are. I think it is the Kenyans versus Tanzania.
Prof, mimi nilikuwa nataka nikugusia hapo ukisema ya kwamba serikali ya Kenya na serikali ya Tanzania inasomea tuseme script moja. Wewe kwa muonekano wako kama mwananchi wa Kenya, maoni yako ni gani ukiona foreign bwana Mudavadi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, akisema kwamba hata yeye alikuwa hana habari ya mambo ambayo yanafanyika na kwamba alikuwa anaonekana ni kama analalia kwa upande wa Tanzania.
So no, because sababu wanafanya majabu moja. They are abducting their citizens. They are killing their citizens. And in a Sunday article that I wrote, I give evidence of those who have not just been killed but tortured. Now umeona Boniface Mwangi hapa amekuja tortured. Yule mlembo wa Uganda amekuja
Agatha
amekuja brutalized. Now so what we are seeing is the regionalization of despotism, regionalization of torture, regionalization of violation of human rights, regionalization of oppression of ordinary people. And that regionalization is what is appearing in different scales. It's worse in Tanzania, possibly next in Uganda, but now in Kenya, because we have a new constitution and we have been at it for almost 30 years, we are able to handle it. That's why people are saying tunagoja 10th of August 2027, because people know.
You're not saying one term, right?
I don't even, if I were asked, if the constitution could allow, I would ask for half term.
Prof, ukiangalia kwa maoni yako, ukiangalia half term yenyewe. Hatuko shuleni hapa jamani, half term. Ukiangalia kwa maoni yako.
He is your good friend, by the way.
Well, you see, this is Mother Kenya we are talking about.
He is your good friend. You should talk. You should call him and have a conversation.
Advise him on otherwise.
I mean, he has met about 25 or so advisors. Who am I?
You will not make any difference.
Yeah, I will not make any difference.
Tundu Lissu, is it the best option ya Tanzania? Ukiangalia kwa maoni yako.
It is not about the option. It's the system that Tanzania is operating.
Yeah.
If you crusade for individuals, you make a mistake.
Yeah.
You go for the system. Now, when I say Kenya is not performing well, I'm not talking about our friend, our president William Ruto. No. That's not what I have in mind. I have the system that we created for ourselves. Ile system tulijitengenezea wenyewe tukaiweka kwa katiba ya 2010. Ndio tunasema haifanyi. Na part of that is that the leaders we have put in office are not doing what the katiba said we do. It is not meeting the vision that we set for ourselves. So there is a way in which you can crusade for an individual. For example, meniambia Ruto ni rafiki yangu, ni mu advice.
Na sini ukweli, sini rafiki yako.
Ni sawa tu, ni Mkenya mwenzangu. Na tumefanya kazi na yeye. Kwani ya ndu yangu nani?
Sini ukweli. Why are you denying your friend?
No, I'm not denying a friend.
You worked with him.
Yeye ako Kenya kwanza. Mimi niko PLP. Na PLP haiko Kenya kwanza.
Okay.
Kwa hivyo lakini tuko Kenya moja.
Alright.
Waniona?
Lakini rafiki yako.
What do you mean? You seem to have a message that you are trying to pass across, which my small mind is not understanding.
Zuli, labda utatuelezea Prof jana sagani gani hii?
Sasa kwa sababu
Prof, if you are to advise
hatuko majirani na yeye, hiyo ni kusema kweli.
If you are to advise him, Prof, what would you tell the president?
I would tell the president to stay with his word. Whatever you say, whatever your tongue gets out there, let it be followed by the action that you promised. There is nothing in public service. It's about doing what you said you're going to do.
Right.
And sometimes not even saying it, letting people to see what you have done.
Right.
That was Kibaki's approach. That wacha waongee. People, Kenyans, were complaining actually that Kibaki is not talking. And then Kibaki would come up in public, if you have seen the clips, and says, watu wanasema niseme. Sasa wanataka niseme nini? Na itawafaidi nini? In other words, he chose the path of silence where work was needed. Now we are choosing the path of words where deeds are needed. This is a problem.
Okay.
You talk, but you don't walk the talk.
All right.
That's a problem. Okay. So, can we walk the talk?
Okay. Let's walk the talk.
Yes.
Okay.
We walk the talk. If you say this, and remember, Kenyans are very patient people. They are very understanding. Because I've been in this country for a number of decades now.
Yeah.
I'm not a Gen Z.
Of course.
And I'm not a millennial. And I have seen difficult times.
All right.
Kenyans just need explanation as to why things are happening the way they are happening. And they see you are on their side.
Si tumesema hii barabara itoke hapa Elwak. Ikitoka hapa Elwak ingia hapa Darbach. Ikitoka hapa Darbach tuingia hapa nini? Kotulo hapa. Ikitoka Kotulo tuingia hapa nini?
Hiyo inaitwa populism. Kwa kizungu ile mzito. Unajua the tongue.
Educators, Prof.
Inaitwa populism.
Okay.
And people distinguish between genuine things and just trying to hype people up. Now, when you want to hype me up, you tell me, tomorrow I'll harvest the stars for you. I have 20 baskets to harvest the stars. Now, you all have to come and see me harvesting the stars for you. I love you so much. All that kind of thing. The real thing is, just do what you need to do.
Na unadhani labda Rais William Samoei Ruto hilo ndo alikosea alipokuwa anaingia katika mamlaka, kuahidi vitu vingi kwa mara moja, na labda sasa ndo anafeel ile pressure kutaka kuachieve ama kuexecute? Na je, unadhani kwa muda ambao umesalia ataweza kufanya yote?
No, sio yeye peke yake. Hata yule alitangulia Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta had 299 concrete promises. By the end of the time, he never even met 50% of those. At the end of his time, he was putting billboards on top to show that he has done this, had done this. You don't have to do that in the last month of your reign. You let people judge you. That is one thing. Now William Ruto followed suit and promised not just the 299 promises of Uhuru Kenyatta, but went beyond to promise heaven that he will deliver the hustlers. You know, we are talking about the totality of the Kenyan people. This is what I'm going to deliver to you. So ultimately, he was promising what you can call, he created what you can call a revolution of expectations.
Tunampisha Victor Mulama tulete habari za sasa, and then we are gonna continue this conversation. But Prof, they say a truthful man shall never marry. Do you know that?
Sijasikia hiyo. Hiyo ni yako.
Beautiful Monday indeed. Na kama kawaida tunarudi pale pale ndani ya bunge la maisha. Tumesema leo tunaipiga spill over paka aywa ya 4 kuhakikisha kwamba tumeikamua vile inavyofuata, tupate kujua bwana taifa letu la Kenya linaenda namna gani. Ukiwa na maoni yako 0719012700, ujumbe mfupi dondosha ndani ya 22277. Ndani ya studio tuko na Professor Peter Kagwanja. Bwana Peter, nimekupatia gazeti letu la The Standard hapo.
Nimeiona hapa. Unasema tunafuatwa. Sasa Wakenya wanauliza tuendapo kama kivuli. Serikali inasema hata huko kwa mitandao tutawafuata.
We will see you.
Yani serikali imekuwa kivuli.
Ndio.
Inatufuata tu.
Bwana Peter, hebu nisome hiyo headline alafu uniambia how do you make of that?
Plot to stalk Kenyans. I think what you need to know is who is stalking Kenyans. The moment you know that, then you know who is rightly doing so and who is legitimately doing so. I have no problem with the intelligence, NIS, following Kenyans. Because how else would you know who is a criminal and who is a legitimate dissenter? One who is expressing views for the sake of, enriching our nation. And those who are planning possibly to destroy the nation. But I don't think anybody else beyond that stalking Kenyans would be doing the right thing. That will now verge on criminality. There is a British scholar called Ellis. What was his name? Ellis. I can't remember the next name. He's talked about the criminalization of the state. Unaelewa hiyo? Wakati state
ndio
imekuwa criminal. I don't think that's where we want to go. Because the moment you no longer fear robbers, you no longer fear thieves, you no longer fear criminals, but you fear your government, then we have crossed the line. That is where we don't want to reach. So stalk Kenyans, stalk everybody, but let's stay within the space of decency. Tusipite mipaka. Let's stay within that. So that's how I would interpret it. And as a scholar, I would say that we have seen millions of governments, read about them, and you know when a government is behaving well, it's behaving so far. It's okay. If I had like, for example,
so far what, Prof? Are they behaving well?
No, that's what. So far you're saying at least we are trying to dribble the ball on the touchline. It can go either way. So the advice is let it stay inside the pitch. Let's not go out.
Lakini Prof, pia at the same time pia ukiangalia Wakenya wengine wanasema kwamba kwa nini hili jambo liletwe wakati ambapo kumekuwa na mazungumzo ya mipango ya 2027 elections. Je, hii itakuwa ni chombo cha kufuatilia mazungumzo, mipango, mikakati. Maana ukiangalia pia waliosema kwamba watachangia pakubwa katika masuala yote ya kisiasa na katika elections 2027 ni vijana. Na vijana wenyewe kwa sana utawapata kwa mitandao. Kufikia sasa hata serikali yenyewe ilikuwa inajiuliza maswali wakati wa 25th June. Walikuwa wanajiuliza ni nani ambaye anashughulika katika hii mipango ya maandamano. Hawa vijana wanawasiliana vipi? Wanakutana wapi? Wanaongeleshana vipi? So ikikuwa kuna letwa bill kama hii ya kustock kwa Kenya, is it for the betterment and the security of Kenyans, or it is for other interest?
I said if it is NIS doing it, that's why we pay them to do that. They don't only spy. Let me shock you. They don't just spy on you and check what you are doing. They even spy on the president himself. There's nobody who is above board in their spying. Why? That's why they are called intelligence. They have to have every knowledge so that they can help organize the state. So for them, NIS and others, they have that legitimate to stalk, fight. For example, they have a file, they would tap my phone, and I won't complain because that's their business. What I care to know is that what I'm doing is within the legitimate purview of the law. The law allows me to say that. For example, saying that the government of William Ruto has failed, that's within my law because I'm a citizen, a voter in this country, and I am supposed to make a judgment. When I say that the government of Uhuru Kenyatta had failed to this extent and succeeded to this extent, when I say that Mr. Kibaki's government succeeded in this, I also say it in politics. It did not perform very well. That's why we found ourselves in the 2008 violence. And until then, that was a wake-up call, and they started doing well. Ask Raila Odinga. I will tell you that the period between 2008 and 2013 is the golden period in our country.
Those in the inner circle, Prof, they will tell you, just give the president some time. He needs some time.
But you see, a harvest when you see the first fruit, or even before you see the first fruit. When the trees start flowering, you know whether you're going to get fruits or not. You know when you're getting the bumper harvest. Don't tell us to be patient,
Lakini nyinyi pia kama Wakenya, Prof, I think you'll be guilty. You'll be guilty. Kwa kile rais ambacho wanasema hata hawaelewi Wakenya. Maana nyinyi mnasema mnataka maendeleo. Ameenda kufungua manyumba pale. One of the agendas ambayo ameweka pale. Wakenya mmeanza tayari kukashifu.
Sasa hivi anashifu.
Amesema inafanya kwa some parts na tumpatie muda. Hayo sio matunda ya kutosha.
No, tunasema in the first place, if I asked, if you promise that you are giving me oranges, and you bring lemon, I'm not saying that lemons are bad, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted something sweeter. So that's the whole issue. The problem with Wakenya, and I'm sure you are in that category as well.
Wakenya sisi.
Which category exactly?
Wakenya, unataka unaoa bibi yako, unajengea yeye. Sasa mtu mwingine kukuja kujengea bibi yako, inakuwa tabu kidogo.
What do you mean, Prof?
Because housing is your responsibility. Now what you want ni utoke hapa, ujue utaenda Equity ama Cooperative Bank, uchukue kaloni at 2%, 3%, ujenge kanyumba, ulipe pole pole na ile mshahara unapata. So that by the time you are done, you say, I was also a man, I built this kind of houses. Na watoto wako na watoto wa watoto wako na waambia, hii nyumba mimi nilijenga. Na roni ya kujenga hii ndipata hapa. We are not just living. We want to leave behind some footprints.
I could get a loan, Prof,
to build your house.
No, I could get a loan and buy this house.
No. This house you didn't build. This house was built for you. So kila mtu atajua wewe ni maskini, wewe ulienda kuno. And by the way, this scheme is not an original thought. Somebody.
What do you mean?
Yeah, somebody borrowed it from South Africa. I live in South Africa for 10 years. And there's something they call BEE, Black Economic Empowerment.
Yeah.
BEE. Now, unajengewa rumu mbili. Then, depending on the size of your family, you look for money and extend
the building
to the extent that you are able. Lakini, you are given the basic. That is part of the Black Economic Empowerment, a kind of an affirmative action. Ya kusaidia wale walinyanyaswa na apartheid. Hapa sisi tulifanya hivyo tu. Tukaweka 0.5% of our revenue goes to what you call historical, those who have been, disadvantaged. For example, those who are living in arid areas and those who are living in slums. That's what we are supposed to do. So, hizi zingine something that does not fit in you. Have you ever, if you buy a car like a Toyota, and then wale wanaenda zaidi unanunua kama Mercedes hivi, halafu unaenda kutafuta spare parts za Toyota ama Nissan, they fit in very awkwardly because we are a capitalist system. We are not a socialist system. The problem with the housing system is that it is based on logic of capitalism and socialism, and yet it is taxing people to pay for the houses, but the people will never get the houses, and and we are supposed to be paying for our services everywhere. So, and I have lived in Ethiopia. They do the same thing, and there is a logic to it, because ata mashamba yoyote ni ya serikali, kila kitu ni ya serikali. So that's a problem I have with, for example, some of the initiatives, the projects that are being initiated. You need to stay within your corner. If you're playing rugby, play rugby. If you're playing soccer, play soccer. Don't mix the two, because they will not work. Because the system, the consequences of the choices you make. And you remember in 1965, tukakuja na karatasi inaitwa sessional paper number 10. ambayo we talked about African socialism and its application to planning in Kenya. Wakati huo tukachukua muundo wa soko, the market system, and ever since we have been at it. I can help you. For example, if you invite me to your home, nitakuja na jamii zangu na marafiki zangu, tukuchangie, utoe mzee hospitali, mama hospitali. That is how we have viewed. But under normal circumstances, the government is supposed to tax you and give you medicine. Na kama hutaki, utaenda kwa pharmacy, private pharmacy, ununue dawa yako. So this is the system we chose for ourselves.
Which party is this use, Prof? Peter Kagwanja ya PLP. Mimi nilikuwa nafikiri ni PLP ya Martha Karua, People's Liberation Party.
Yeah, it's the one.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
That's your party?
Yeah, it's my party. Yes.
Why?
Because I chose to be there for the reason I am going for Senate.
Okay.
In Muranga.
We were coming to that.
I used to be.
We were coming to
I used
that,
to be in Jubilee. Then somehow I discovered that I didn't belong there, because somebody calls you and tell me that you'll not be given the ticket.
Yes.
It will be given to
who called
XYZ.
You? Who called you?
Well, this is a radio.
So Prof, you want to tell me kwamba katika hivi vyama hivi, maana unajua inatamausha sana kuona baadhi ya viongozi leo wako katika hichi chama, kesho kutwa katika hichi chama. Ni vitu gani ambavyo hamridhiki navyo, ambavyo mnaanza vizuri afu baadaye unajipata umejiondoa? Umesema kwamba ulipokuwa Jubilee pale ulinyang'anywa ama ulirushwa tiketi tuseme. What guarantees you that kwa hichi chama kipya hatafanyika hivyo?
No, that's why you shop and find where you belong. Why? It's unfortunate. When it was KANU, you knew it is KANU. You could fault KANU from the perspective that it's a dictatorial party. And that you knew that you have to be good to President Moi, because he's the one controlling the only existing national party. But when we came to multi-party, we did not have the advantage of what the Americans have with their Republican Party or the Democratic Party, which are not, they are ideological parties but not personalized. Now, our parties fall in different categories, and I wrote about that 2 weeks ago in my Sunday article. And I was saying that parties are equivalent to what I used to experience as a boy.
All right.
I used to go for hunting sprees with fellow boys, and sometimes bigger boys would join us.
Yeah.
Now, in order to be in the hunting party, you needed a dog. So lazima ukuje na kambwa yako umefunga. Na kuna wengine walikuwa na mbwa kubwa, a big dog. And you know, the rule is the dog that bites the play, kama ni swara ama ni sungura, the owner has right to get the lion's share of that meat. And if you didn't have a dog, you can only have your share by being associated with somebody.
All right.
So what has happened is that every politician in Kenya who thinks they are mature politician, they are bigwigs, as we call them, must register a party.
Right.
So what does that mean? We have 90 parties in this small Republic of Kenya. Possibly 10 times what America has, even in the local states. And what that tells you is that dogs are personal. I mean, parties are personal properties, like that hunting dog. Now, and what is the hunting time? It is during the election time. What is being hunted? Opportunities in government, from presidents to MCAs.
Okay.
And that in itself is killing the essence of what a party means.
Two things that we need to talk about, Prof. And of course, main man Rio, this one is very, very important. First thing first, ni kwamba we are headed towards 2027, the general election. We need to talk about peaceful elections. And what do Kenyans need to understand? You heard what the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua was saying, that if we are not very keen, we will go back to 2007. We need to talk about that. And you're going for Senate. Where?
Muranga. Yes.
I'm a millennial. And Professor Peter Kagwanja, I've heard a lot about you.
Yes.
Growing up, and it's a good thing that you're sitting here together. So you're going into politics.
No, because I for many years I've served the government as an advisor. I was advisor to President Kibaki. Before that, I have been to South Africa. I was advising the government of South Africa in certain ways. I've advised international organizations, African Union, United Nations, IGAD, and so on, including SADC in Southern Africa. And I think for the last 10 years, or maybe 20 years, we've been complaining about quality of leadership, particularly in Mount Kenya region. And then I read, a quote from Plato, the renowned philosopher from ancient Greece, who said that if you don't offer yourself for election, you have no moral right to complain about being ruled by weaklings. So
I love that.
Yes. So I am trying to absolve myself of that guilt, because I keep on talking about leadership, particularly in Mount Kenya. You cannot say the same about Kisumu, where the governor is a PhD holder and a philosopher of political science. The senator is equally educated, with a professor as well, and all the way up to even the women rep is a doctor, and so on. You really don't expect things to go wrong in that place, or at least they know what they are doing. There's also the same case with our place, where people even lose their names to the object they are offering. If you're offering milk, you are called after milk. If you're offering gumboots, if you're offering gumboots, you are called after gumboots. Isn't that what? So you get those kind of things. So we as elite, and I'm challenging my fellow elites, particularly from Mount Kenya region, let's give Kenyans quality leadership that they can deal with. Because what will Anyang' Nyong'o do with, for example, an MP from some Kiamba, some place, who cannot even read Hansards? What are you? What kind of respect are you giving to Anyang'? What respect are you giving to, all these people who have been elected, Kibuta Kibwana from Makueni and others, who, I mean, this is not elitism. We're not preaching that, we have lived with people like Jenga Karume, who are very, very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable, and perhaps even more knowledgeable than me as a professor. So we are talking about giving people a kind of leadership that can help not just the region of Mount Kenya, but the country as a large. Yes, without Anyang' Nyong'o, we would not have gotten and Michael Chege. Without those two people or so, we would not have gotten Vision 2030.
If I was in Mount Kenya, Prof, you'd have my vote, right?
Oh yeah, and many are telling me that they'll give me their vote.
Nando Siasa, your professor, you have to be very careful.
It's about.
No, but me, I would vote for you, because I mean, you speak as it is.
The proof is in the proof of the pudding is in eating.
Is in the eating.
So I'll have to wait and eat the pudding to know whether people mean. But I keep on saying,
peaceful elections.
Peaceful elections. Yes. Yeah, we have no alternative to other than being peaceful.
Yeah.
Remember, the reason why Kenya is stabler than possibly many of our neighbors is we have committed ourselves to the doctrine of peaceful transition. If William Ruto loses the election, he'll peacefully hand over the instruments of power to the next. Uhuru Kenyatta lost the election because the horse he had chosen to back did not win. But he drove all the way up to Kasarani to hand over the instrument of power to William Ruto. The same thing with Kibaki handing over to Uhuru. That's what we expect in 2027 and after. Nothing less. It's somebody handing over. At the same time, we don't, rig the election before the first ballot is cast. And how do you do that? By manipulating the system. But I guess that's something that Kenyans will be observing.
Bwana Prof, talking about manipulating the system, the current government imeonekana kwamba most of the time wamekuwa kidogo wakikuwa on the opposite side of the law. Wengine ikisemekana wanavunja sheria, wengine wafuati hata constitution. Hivyo majuzi tuliona ya kwamba ile government seal ilitolewa katika ofisi ya Attorney General, ikapiana pale head of public service pale. Kwa maoni yako, ukiangalia taifa likielekea katika mwelekeo kama huu, pale ambapo tuko naye Attorney General, yuko na mamlaka, yuko na ofisi kuanzia 1925 mpaka 2025, ndio hili jambo linafanyika kwa mara ya kwanza. Je, serikali yetu kufikia sasa inafuatilia sheria, inafuatilia katiba ambayo iliswear kwamba itailinda?
I think there are areas where we are trying to stay within the law. I know Kenyans, we like the things being done the way we want them done. There is a way in which President William Ruto has followed the law as a president in many ways, in terms of, he has never failed to subject those he has appointed to parliament. He has never failed. And they are interviewed by parliament. The problem we have with that as Kenyans is that the parliament is packed with his people, and of course allegations that there is money changing hands here and there. But President William Ruto has followed the law to that extent. And in many of these aspects, you can say he has followed the law. I guess the main problem we are having is when you begin to see changes that don't seem to be making Kenyans happy. And some are not very consequential changes, but have damaging effect in some of the credibility of the government. So you've given the example of the seal, just the movement of the seal from this office to the other office. And what are the intentions? Maybe the intentions might be good. If you ask those who are moving the seal from the Attorney General's office to the other, they will give you a good explanation as to why they are doing it. And they will even try to argue that they're doing it for the best interest of Kenya. But the truth of the matter is that there's no confidence in the government. Why is there no confidence? Because of the many things that have been seen to be done
by this government,
this government that have not measured up to the expectations of Kenyans. For example, it is not the first time, if we go to touch an issue on foreign affairs, it's not the first time we have hosted a foreign militia in this country. Long before William Ruto, we had Patrice Lumumbas and others here. But we do it on open the platform. Museveni was here with the Tito Okero, but you call Tito Okero and you call Museveni. In Sudan, before Sudan broke into two, giving birth to South Sudan, all these parties were here and they spent months and months in Naivasha. So we are not new to this idea of balancing things. What we don't know is when it is said we are doing such things for profiteering. Now that give us a new face which we are not recognizing. Simply it's something simple, very inconsequential. Whether you have a flat roof or a slanted roof may not matter. But you've changed the State House, and the State House used to have the roof when you change it. When you go to the internet, you find flat roof.
As we finish up, Prof.
Yes.
IEBC, are you confident enough that we'll have a free and fair elections come 2027?
They have no alternative. Remember, meddling with an election is a criminal offense which is borne by the individual. It's not a collective. So each member of the commission, if you have evidence that he has tampered with the election, for example, registering voters badly, then you hold them individually culpable. Now, so what we need to do as Kenyans is to stay alert. And they say vigilance is the price you pay for democracy. You have to keep perpetual vigilance. So it's not about having ages. Somebody told us from West Africa that the beautiful ones are not yet born. When you find them, let me know.
I found one, by the way.
He found two. Prof, as we wind up, kwa wale ambao wanatusikiza kutoka Muranga, wapo wengi sana. Kwa dakika moja, maana naona kidogo tumezungumza muda. Kama ikiwezekana pia kwa lugha ya taifa, uzungumze na wapiga kura wa Muranga ikifika 2027 ama kabla 2027, kwa nia yako ya kusimama kama senator pale. Ni mambo gani ambayo unatarajia na ni yapi ambayo utawaambia asubuhi ya leo?
Mimi mwenyewe siwezi kusema yale nitafanya. Naweza tu kusema yale tutafanya. Kama chama na kama wananchi. Kwa sababu nikikuahidi ya kwamba ati nitakufanyia hili, utaniuliza mimi mwenyewe mbona sijajifanyia? So what we want to give is leadership. And people of Muranga know leadership. We have had leaders. Julius Gikonyo-Kiano, daktari wa kwanza, the first PhD holder came from Muranga and served this country. Those of us Muranga got rich. That's why we talk about Muranga takeover. Kwa sababu Nairobi ukisema ni Muranga. Na Muranga ni Nairobi. How is Nairobi Muranga if there is Kiambu here, Machakos here and the others? It is because we had good leaders who went out there and looked for opportunities for us. They did not look for opportunities for themselves. They look for opportunities for their people. We had Kenneth Matiba and others. They did not get hurt because they were fetching for themselves. They had done it. We've looked for wealth for ourselves, kama mimi, but that's not the end of it. You have to help your people. Muranga today has more than 4,000 graduates. Now, if you calculate how much money we are losing as a county by the unemployment of those graduates, those for over 5 years they have never had jobs. Yet, Muranga is the net employer of the Republic. Because for every 10 billionaire you have, most likely 7 are from Muranga.
You didn't say that.
I said so. I said so. I mean, look at Equity. Look at.
Are you one of the billionaires?
No. Sijafika hapo. Lakini unaelekea. Naelekea hapo. Naelekea. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But the point is, we need to put our house in order as Muranga, and the way to do it is leadership. Muranga has everything it takes. We are equal size with Mauritius, population-wise and land size. Why is Mauritius prosperous and why is Muranga poor? this county of Muranga used to give loans to Nakuru. I am told from our records, even Tanzania owe us money. So as soon as I become senator,
yes,
I'll be in the praying to reclaim our debts with the Tanzania. Huyo mama atatulipa. Huyo mama
kando na kesi zote kwa deti ya Muranga.
Wachana na
anasema hana deni la taifa lolote, ana deni la Muranga.
Wachana na waacha hiyo mduruma kwa Mother Karua. Sasa sisi tutaenda kuchukua mikopo yetu.
All right.
That tells you that it was a golden time, and that's what we want to go back to. Muranga,
the good professor.
Yes,
Professor Peter Kagwanja. Always a pleasure having you, sir.
Thank
and
you.
All the best. We wish you the very best. We want to see you in Senate, by the way, Prof.
Yes.
Sio?
Nitakuwa huko
na chama ni
nitawatetea. I'll not be chauvinistic or parochial. Huko naelekea huku mambo ya Muranga peke yake. Because Muranga is in Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah, Muranga is in Kenya. And when Kenya prospers, Muranga prospers.
Right.
So even as we talk about our local, politics, our tribes, our communities, we must always remember we are Kenyans.
All right.
Thank you, Prof. Na tunakuombea kila laheri. Ukifika Muranga usalimie. People's Liberation Party.
Yes.
Professor Peter Kagwanja.
2027.
Atamuona na miwani yake, by the way, kwenye ballot box.
Hapo. Niko hapo.
People's Liberation Party is the party.
2027 Senator Muranga Party.
2027 Senator Muranga.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much and all the best, Prof.